going down. Right here we are again, the Kelp4less podcast. We have the hydro weight champion of the world, Harley Smith, and I'm the organic mechanic with Kelp4less.com. And I got to throw this in. We had an interesting comment on our YouTube channel there. We always talk about Harley writing a book, and someone piped in, a very wise gentleman piped in and said, there's no way Harley's going to have enough time writing a book if he's going to grow the state record giant pumpkin in Michigan.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, I don't think that's my goal, but I'm getting interested in it because I've been working with so many pumpkin growers this year.
Yeah,
It's
fun.
it's got me inspired. But if I did, I would write the book while I'm watching the plant grow.
There you go. Okay, there's the answer right there. So yeah, we'll see what pops up this spring. Yeah, and I know um, you've been traveling around a little bit, just locally, and going on hikes and being in the outdoors. So this may good just maybe a checkup every couple weeks or so next summer at the patch. Get out and about, work on your book a little bit. They'll keep a chair for you in the patch.
Yeah, last weekend I took a field trip to Ferris State University. And it's not a huge university, but I really like the campus. It has a really good vibe. But in Big Rapids, to visit, to explore the campus and to hang out in the library, I found a book on photosynthesis. One book in there, 1,000 pages long, just on, just on photosynthesis. And I'm really, you know, here I am, 69 years old, almost 70, and I really want to try to understand how light is harvested. But that's another topic for another day. But we still don't know. We don't
Yeah.
know that very, very first part of um, the oxygen evolving complex of photosynthesis, where it all begins, that spark of life. We still don't understand how that works, even today. So
Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah.
I don't
Crazy.
expect to solve the mystery in my life, because I have to be able to make measurements to trillionths of a second. But just to say, um, photosynthesis is still light is the limiting factor in the way the plant harvests and utilizes the energy of sunlight. It's still the primary motivator of all growth and all life on this planet. So never mind, that's way off topic. But
No,
what did you
not
want?
way
What
off
did you want
topic.
this? Let's go ahead and. Oh, by the way, some of the trace elements are part of that. Like manganese is a very important part of that initial step of harvesting of light energy, and then the electron transport chain, where you have iron complexes, iron sulfur complexes, copper is involved in that as well. So there's oxidation reduction, and the flow of energy through the system. Um, it's fascinating.
Everything's
So
related. Everything's
yeah,
related. Everything.
yeah,
Yeah. There's so many parts to make it happen, but you're right. Light leads the way. Absolutely. So, okay. Well, I want a full report when you read the book. Let us know.
yeah.
Let us know what you learned. And interesting you bring that up too, because we're getting a lot of data back, crop data, soil data, field data, um, all across the board. Especially with the living water customers, we have some really tight controls, and I know I talk about agrology all the time, but I'll tell you what, the number one thing that comes back test after test after test is the availability of phosphorus in the soil. We have tests that show 90% more available phosphorus in the soil, and we didn't put any on. So that, I mean, so I want to say something to be very clear, right? If we test our soils, we know we're low in phosphorus, put phosphorus on, okay? So again, I'm a minerals first guy. The minerals have to be in the soil for the plant to get them. Now, how do we get the plant to get them? With biology, okay? So what we're seeing is really large increases in available phosphorus without adding additional. So that shows us, the phosphorus was there because we did the soil testing, before. We did some soil testing mid and soil testing after. On many fields got tested the same way. And from start to finish, we've seen the phosphorus needle just keep climbing. Even as the crop was growing and producing yield and pulling that phosphorus, we've seen the availability kept, climbing. And so it's really neat to see that some of our yields were, 5% more, 14% more, 11% more, but the available nutrients in the soil came up to be available the next year's crop or the next growing cycle. And so, we have a lot of really recognizable, well-known, smart, educated distributors and customers using living water. And, they're just scratching their head like, wow, we've never seen something so consistent like this. And it's because we put it on every time you irrigate, right? We're increasing the phosphorus, the bioavailable phosphorus, because of all the fungal spores we put on, all the bacterial strains that we put on at every irrigation. So, again, I've asked this question before. I mean, how can we get the plants to pull up more phosphorus? Well, the only way is through biology. And I'm so stoked on this data. I can't wait to get it all in a book and review it, and I'll send you the whole file. Really exciting. I'm pretty pumped on phosphorus, but not only phosphorus, we've seen this in all the trace elements as well, the micro elements as well. So we know there was minerals in those soils. They were just locked up and were not available to the plant. So that's kind of how my week has went. And I'm really pumped. I cannot wait to keep sharing the data.
Mm-hmm. Well, something that's a little interesting to me too, along with the availability of phosphorus, as we know, the microorganisms, the phosphorus solubilizing bacteria, the mycorrhizal fungi, they make phosphatase and phytase that unlock the phosphorus from the soil, unlock the phosphorus from the organic matter, and
Yep.
then feed it to the plant. But here's something that I think is overlooked a little bit, Brandon. When you mentioned trace elements, some of that phosphorus is locked up with other elements. I mean, almost all of it. The phosphates lock up with the calcium for calcium phosphate. Phosphates in acidic soil will lock up with the iron. So, so either way, phosphorus gets locked up, either acid or alkaline soils. But if you unlock the phosphorus, guess what? You're unlocking calcium.
Right.
You're unlocking iron, the things that were locked up with it.
Right.
And I think that's overlooked sometimes because some of those trace elements, if the calcium is unlocked, the plant's able to distribute those elements more efficiently and take up the elements more efficiently in the crop itself. And the same thing with the iron. The plant takes up more iron, it's going to make more chlorophyll, increase photosynthesis. And now,
Right.
what's the end of that? I've been reading a whole book on photosynthesis, increase yields.
Mhm.
So it works together. There's a synergistic process, but phosphorus is definitely a big part of the process with the microbes for availability of phosphorus. A lot of the soil here in Michigan, we have a lot of phosphorus in the soil, but it's unavailable. But farmers add sometimes 5 times more phosphorus than the plant needs, just to make sure that it gets enough to,
Yeah.
enough of it becomes available. But if you can unlock the phosphorus that's already there, that's even better. Because as you know, there's a worldwide shortage in fertilizers right now. And
Yeah.
phosphate fertilizers, the cost is going up. So if there's some way that you can using nature to make phosphorus more available, that's going to save money in the long run. It's going to save some
Absolutely.
money, and you're going to make more money if you get better yields and better
Right.
fertility. And then here, I'm getting excited here, but another thing with the available phosphorus, we think of it as being available to the plant. Yeah, it is. but it's also available phosphorus for the other microorganisms in the soil. The microbes need phosphorus too for
Yeah.
their energy. It's part of the energy currency of the plant, adenosine triphosphate. So the microbes that are making phosphorus available are feeding phosphorus to the microbes that are making nitrogen available, which are feeding nitrogen to the microbes that are making the rooting hormones, which are again, so you see there's this whole cascade going on. It's not just unlocking phosphorus, it's the effect that has on the plant and the microbes and on the overall availability of nutrients in the soil besides
Yeah.
phosphorus.
Oh yeah, yeah, and it's great, and um, a lot of the ag fields that I consult on or work with for a long time. I'm going to use some examples without saying any names, but we know a specific crop needs 60 pounds of phosphorus per acre to be healthy and produce yield. And so, what have we done for the past 15, 20 years? And I'm guilty of this too. We double the amount of phosphorus we put on. We put on 120 pounds of phosphorus, knowing that the plant's going to need 60, then we don't have to worry about it. And then it causes a chain reaction. We apply this additional phosphorus, then the calcium gets locked up, and the plants test low in calcium. So what do? We got to haul in a bunch of calcium chloride, some form that won't get tied up in the soil that the plant can, fix the deficiency fast, and on and on and on. But that's been the standard for a long, long time. So as we introduce living water, some of these fields now will be going on its fourth year of living water. How far can we take this? How much of a phosphorus is in the soil that we can keep making, available to the plants? The phosphorus soil tests really haven't changed every year. It still shows what's in the soil. Our
Mhm.
additions have been very, very low of phosphorus, but yet the plants are still yielding better. They're not deficient, and the after crop soil test shows more soil available than we started with. This is blowing some minds. It's blowing my mind in a lot of cases, and it has been a lot of fun to see this everything kind of work how it's going. And God, just I know I talk with you all the time about this, and it's just, you know, it's so much fun. I think we're doing the right thing. I think we're doing the right thing for the right reasons to help the farm, to help the soil, and it's so cost affordable that it's worth, just giving it a try. So we're so excited about the future. We're really helping farms.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, that is exciting, and I'm glad to see the data coming in at the end of the season now, because that's really, kind of the bottom line is it is it a good investment? And you're proving over and over again that the return is much higher than what the initial investment was. And
Right.
you're using nature, and it's in real time, and it's a process that's going to continue into the future sustainably.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And back with what you were saying on, our resources are going to keep getting limited and more limited and more limited and more expensive and more expensive and more expensive. We're seeing that in our day business side all the time, all the time. So as a growing nation, no matter what kind of growing you do, garden, indoor, outdoor, farm, whatever, we really have to be cognizant of what we're using as inputs, because some of those may just go away or may be so unaffordable, price so high we can't use it like we're used to using it. I see that happening on quite a few elements.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Every time the price of oil goes up, price of nitrogen fertilizer goes up. It's
Hmm.
just the way it goes. Phosphorus is a limited resource. We're going to run out of phosphorus.
Yeah.
Sooner or later, we're going to have to go to the ocean just to be able to harvest phosphorus from the ocean floor. That's that's coming. But you know what? I mean, we don't have to look at the future either. We can look at right now. There are literally millions of tons of inavailability of fertilizer around the world. Our nation, we produce a lot of food. We're a wealthy nation. But there are literally countries that don't have access to fertilizer at all, or at least not enough to sustain their own population, their own people. So what we're doing here is not just going to help the farmers here in the United States. At some point, it's going to help us to feed the world in an environmentally responsible way. And that, I think, sometimes we're a little narrow-minded. We're just thinking, well, how are we going to help our customers and our farmers? If we can do that, what we're learning, that's something that they can do in other parts of the world too. And that's just going to make the world a better place, improve the nutritional value of food in general, and improve the amount of food that to sustain a world population that's growing.
Yeah.
So the population is growing, the resources are going down. If we find a way to make the process more efficient, connect the gap, bridge that gap, then humanity is going to suffer too, not just our own farmers here in Idaho and in Michigan.
Right. Right. And, along that point, I got to share this with you too, is, it's kind of a sad day for us to announce this, but, here at Kelp4less, we're discontinuing a lot of products that we sell. And a lot of those products are, popular for organic gardeners and things like that. Mostly all the meals, like the kelp meal and the cottonseed meal and, you know, feather meal and it just goes on and on and on. And what's happening is right now the price of beef is so high that a lot of these crop residues that turn into meals that we use as soil amendments and fertilizer that work very well, and I've used them for a long time, they're so expensive now because we're really competing with the feed market to feed livestock and hogs and so on and so forth. And it's just, from a business standpoint, it's just too high of a burden for us to bring in these bulk supplies, let them sit on the shelf, and then, send them out as they sell. It's just, rather than, we don't want to fight that battle because we'd have to raise our prices so high to make these, meals available. We just decided we're going to start phasing them out. When they're gone, they're gone. And we'll reconvene, someday when, if this gets back to reality. But right now, it's just unrealistic to battle for kelp meal and battle for just so many of these the mills that we carry. And, we're going to have a lot of upset customers, and I understand it. And hopefully there's other vendors out there that can take care of you. But my advice is to look local. See if you can find these sources local, because, shipping big boxes of meal is expensive. So I'm sharing that because it ties right back into what you're talking about, the whole economics of everything and the resources will dwindle down, and we got to be prepared for that.
Mhm. Yeah, well, at least we're doing something about it. We're not, instead of having to add more, we still have to add more. I mean, obviously, there's a point where the plant just, if we're taking plants out, we're not putting it back in. If we're
Yeah,
sending the plant matter to New York City for those people to eat, and they're not sending back the residues, the compost. So yeah, it's going to be depleted. We have to restore it. But if we can, again, efficiency, really, it's
yeah,
the efficiency of the process. We improve. And I think that's one of the weaknesses that we have as a country too, is we have such vast resources here in general that we don't really often think of efficiency. Like some place like the Netherlands, for example, for hydroponics, they have limited land. They're below sea level. They really are forced by their environment, their environmental restraints, to be as efficient as possible with the use of water, with the use of fertilizers, with capturing runoff, zero runoff, um, composting. They were leading the world in methane generation for energy because they have to. We're here in this country, we have so much land still. Oh, you want to double production? Just put up another hoop house.
Yeah.
Just double it up. This still be more efficient, and then we can't, so we can compete. But it's in the so sometimes trying to deal with problems, being forced into coming up with intelligent solutions isn't in our isn't the way we do it. Why put that effort in? We can just throw double the phosphorus on there,
Right. Right.
right?
Right. And like what you teach and you show to your students and things you have like back in your tomato days, I mean, that's efficient farming. I mean, you're really precise dosing of nutrients, very little waste, very little overuse, and it's precise. So, as a community or a family or something like that, we can produce a lot of things, using the methods that you teach us and you've shown us in your classes or these talks, the importance of being precise and not overusing these minerals. I think hydroponic is a very efficient way to produce a lot of food stock for an area. For an area.
Yeah, yeah, especially if you're in an urban area.
Hmm.
Why you're right there, or in your own home to produce high quality fruits and vegetables, nutrient dense,
Hmm.
with more vitamins, more minerals than you get from
Yeah.
the store. So
Yeah.
that's good right here in our own home. And yeah, so anyway, also it's going to help feed the world because it's not just the cities where it's hard to grow a crop. You know, also there's untillable land, and so hydroponics would come in there too, where you have really good fertile soil, use it and maintain it. But if you have areas that are too salty or contaminated in some way, well, but that's a good place to do hydroponics because you can separate the plants from the land
Right.
and do it in a way where you're recycling the water and nutrients and being
Uh-huh.
very precise
Yeah.
and
Yeah. A lot,
increasing yield at the same
lot,
time.
lot of
Do both.
advantages. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's been your life for a long time. So we're glad you kind of got
Right.
this figured out to share with the rest of us.
Yeah.
We're very grateful.
Yeah. And I'm surprised too with the research that's coming in from overseas. Getting on hydroponics for just 1 second. The back when I was started 30 years ago, and we were looking maybe 52 for tomatoes, 52 kilograms per square meter. That's a lot for here in this country. That would be a lot too, right? Oh wow, we're getting like 35. But now they're in some of these research greenhouses with less water and less energy. They're getting over 100 kilos per square meter of productivity. They're just being driven, and the education industry and education, they're working hand in hand. They're coming up with they have many classes over there that will help someone that are working commercially in the facilities to be able to add new skills that they can apply in the real world. Way more than what
Wow.
we're doing here in this country.
So let
You're
me,
interested, I want to learn more about pumping, about pumps and pressure. I can take a class at a university, literally just that area, and become an expert in it enough to be able to take that knowledge back and get a better, higher position and help the company that I work for. And that's standard. There are a lot of countries do that, where education and industry work together.
Mhm.
Um, doesn't
Right.
seem to be quite the same impetus here. It seems more here. It's like the large corporations and industry are working and education are working together, not always in the best interest for
I
the
agree
rest
with
of
that.
us.
Oh, totally. Agree with that totally. So I just wanted to set the stage here. So you're telling me over 220 pounds of harvest
Tomatoes
in
per
a
square
3 foot
meter,
section. I
3 by
just
3. But
Unbelievable.
that's remember that's kind of getting into the research greenhouses where they're really dialing it in. But the first time I went to the Netherlands and visited the agricultural schools over there, I did a whole tour. Went to all different bunch of different schools and universities, and their goal at that time was to decrease the temperature requirements in the greenhouses by 2 degrees. If you can, their minds were thinking, how can we decrease temperature by 2 degrees without compromising quality and yield that particular year? But
Huh.
that 2 degrees of temperature, think about how much that adds up into energy savings over
Wow.
the course of the year. So they've been working on this because they need to. Oh man, it just again that opened my eyes. It was like going in seeing the future. But then I come back here in the United States and they were using the environmental controls at the universities. I won't mention the name of the university. They were just using it as a thermostat. They weren't even finding ways to adjust the temperatures for different growing conditions. Never mind. I'm sorry. I'm not talking down about our country. I love our country, and we are leading the world in genetics and other areas, but we have a long ways to go when it comes to producing food in an environmentally responsible way.
Yeah, we talk about that a lot. No, I'm with you. Hey, we're kind of
We're out of
calling
time
the
here.
calling the same battle cry here. Oh yeah, we are.
Yeah, I
See, we
think
get
we're out of
carried
time
away.
too, but
Get carried away.
out of time.
So, yeah, man, we go a lot of directions, but that's good. That's fun. Makes it entertaining for me. I love doing this, and I mean, I to be honest, I appreciate the people that tune in and give us thumbs up and stuff. But you know what? Just to be able to do this once a week, just to get to this is great. I mean, I would do this if, just personally.
Yeah,
We do.
when we do sometimes, just pick up the phone. Hey, I have a question for you, Brandon, and you always answer. I know you're a busy man, but you always answer. And the same way, sometimes you call me and say, let me bounce something off you. Oh, okay, we have time for each other because it works out. I think we make a good team because you have the condition, the agriculture and the organics, and I have the hydroponics and the minerals and a little more. We both have the science. I wouldn't say that one of us is different than the other, but being able to bounce things back and forth, I think is beneficial to all our viewers.
Yeah, I do too. So let's keep it up.
Okay.
All right.
Well, I guess I'll see you next time. Have a good week.
Yeah. Have a good rest of your week. See you, buddy.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.